And I can remember in my 20s, it was before I found the health community and found my purpose in life. I always felt this gnawing in my stomach of, I'm bound for more. I'm destined for more. I just knew it, Sean. Long before I proved myself in any way, in writing, in speaking, in any of the things that people know me for now, I knew every job I was in, I'm like, they don't tap into my full potential. What is wrong with this picture? And I knew I was destined someday to not rely on the man and to become the man.
Yeah, man. I think most people feel that way, man. Even I still feel that way. I still
Same.
feel like there's more potential for me. You know, I mean, we have unlimited potential, and so we're always just kind of growing and growing and growing. I think people have a hard time moving forward in life. There's a really great book on this called "How We Change" by Ross Ellenhorn. Whenever you leave point A to go to point B, which is your goal, and you start to move forward, you get hit by a couple of things. Number one is the aloneness. You realize that you are alone in your decisions, that everything is up to you. Another thing is your accountability. Like, you're accountable for your life. You're 100% accountable for how things turn out. You're 100% responsible. You're the captain of your own ship. People have a hard time dealing with that. You know, these days in 2021, a conversation about personal responsibility can be controversial. Like,
Yes,
what?
sadly.
What? I don't understand how this works. Like, you're not responsible for your life, because people don't want to look at that responsibility. They don't want to look at that accountability. They want somebody, in general, not everybody, they want somebody to tell them what to do, what to say, how to dress, how to think, who to vote for, on and on and on. And so the accountability, it's like, we don't want to own it anymore. But the accountability, the owning of that accountability, is what you're going to have to do in order to get to where you want to go. If you're not willing to accept that, you cannot transform your life. Step one is taking responsibility and accountability for how things turn out. Without that, zero transformation, my friends.
Yeah, you just nailed it. I mean, people want things to be handed to them. And so if you're trying to be a health entrepreneur, you guys, and you just think it's just going to manifest, not without a lot of hard work and effort. I know when you take on clients, Sean, and you do brilliant master classes all the time, and you take one-on-one clients. We had one of your clients on just yesterday with Ben Azadi. He's one of your clients who is not only taken your wisdom, but he's taken it and run with it. And he's amazing. I love him as a human being. So good job with whatever you did to inspire that man. But you would be the first to say, Ben is motivated to be successful. You didn't really do anything except maybe push him in the right direction.
Yes, Ben had the mindset before coming to me. Like, I knew Ben was going to be successful. Like, Ben, why do you want to do this? I want to transform the health of 1 million people. And like, he was so confident about it. What I helped Ben with is his branding. Like, Keto Camp, that was my idea. You know, the tagline for his website, he gave it to me, but I put it together for him that way. Like, we developed that concept together, and it's so cool to see him, grow and bring his message to so many people. And I kind of sit back and I go, that Keto Camp thing came out of my brain. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I love that guy. And he's a guy who will just continue to move forward despite the ups and the downs and the criticism. Like, he's got thick skin. His purpose is so big that all of the stuff that's trying to push him back can't. You know what I'm saying? He's got a big why. And when you have a big why, it fuels you. It's the meaning and the purpose that fuels you. If you don't have a meaning and a purpose for the mission that you're looking to carry out in the world, and if that meaning is just surface, it's not going to work, because there are too many powerful forces pushing you back. You have to have a deep sense of meaning and purpose. And when you get to that, that's when you start to move forward, and all the obstacles that come at you, they don't really matter. You start to look at them as lessons. You start to look at them as just experiences along the journey than something about you personally. We tend to take things personally, and that has a lot to do with, the self-esteem that we tend to lack these days.
Man, and I can tell you, I mentor a lot of people in the health space, trying to help them get their brands off the ground and things like that, any way that I can. I'm a pay it forward kind of guy. Been very successful in my career, so I feel like, hey, I can be the impetus for someone else being successful. I'll do what I can. Definitely go. I think hiring someone like yourself to help with the branding. And Keto Camp was brilliant, by the way, as a branding for Ben. And he's already made it into so many entities. And he's about to release his debut book, like fast. Like he popped on the scene, and suddenly Keto Camp videos everywhere. Keto Camp podcast. Now he's got Keto. It's like, whoa. And people think, well, I can't make a difference because it'll take too long to build. Ben is a perfect example of it'll build it and they will come.
Yeah, there's something. One of the things that holds us back, Jimmy, is what's called the insult of small steps. I have this. Actually, I just took it down. I got to put it back up. But my one of my philosophies on life is little by little, a little becomes a lot. People don't like the little by little. They want to have these huge quantum leaps. They want to go from the bottom of the mountain, take a couple of hops and a jump, and be at the summit. But that's just not how it works. It's good to have your intention on the summit, but you first have to deal with what's in front of you. You know what I mean? You gotta take step by step by step by step. And a lot of us, as we're taking those small steps, we develop this impatience. Like, this is just taking too long. No, this is part of the journey. We're constantly asking, like, am I there yet? Am I there yet?
Yeah.
Am I there yet? Am I there yet? And there's also this frustration of, in order to get to where you want to go, you have to look at where you are right now.
Yes.
And a lot of people have a hard time with that. A lot of people feel behind. A lot of people feel like they're not living up to the standards that they set for themselves. A lot of people are just disappointed in where they are right now. And in order to get to where you want to go, you got to look in the mirror. And that is very, very difficult for most people. I say, hey, there's this house that I want that's up the street. It's a $3.5 million house up on the hill in Del Cerro. And I live in Lower Del Cerro. Still a beautiful house, but nowhere near as dope as this place. Like, I'm going to have that house. But I know that I'm not going to have that house tomorrow. I know that I'm going to have that house 3 years from now. And how am I going to get it 3 years from now? By the little steps that I make every single day. Because those steps compound over time. Now, anybody here who is a health professional and you're just getting started, think of a hockey stick graph. And so the hockey stick graph is just kind of barely moving along as it moves off to the right. It's just barely moving on. Then at some point on that graph, it goes boom, right? It shoots up. You get the hockey stick. That's how your business is very likely going to work. You're going to put in all of these actions, all of these steps, and you're going to say to yourself, they're not paying off, they're not paying off. But they are. Trust the process that they are. And what I hate to see is when people do these steps for a while and they launch a product or they do something and they get super frustrated and they quit. Well, there's that Napoleon Hill story of 3 feet from gold. About the guy who was, searching for gold, found some, and then he was searching for some more, and at some point he quit and he sold his machinery to a junk man. The junk man called up the experts, and they found that the original guy quit 3 feet from the gold.
Wow.
And that's what we tend to do. Do not stop 3 feet from the gold, because it's like right after you really want to quit is when the success comes. It's like the universe is testing you, like, okay, I'm about to give this to you, but let's make sure you really, really want it. And most folks just don't want it.
Oh, that hockey stick hit for me, and I almost gave everything up with my branding, Living La Vida Low Carb, in 2009. The stock market had crashed. It was really bad in the economy. All these businesses, kind of like today, all these businesses kind of hoarding a little bit, their money, not sure what's going to happen with the future. But what I did, I sucked it up. I cut off cable. I ate eggs for a period of time. I just did all the things to try to hang on. And 2 years later, I get my book deal, which then went on to make me a lot of money. And so had I given it all up, all of that manifestation of the gold, so to speak, 3 feet away, would have never happened for me.
I did give it all up, if you remember this.
Yes.
2010, I want to say. I got so tired of critics that I took down on my YouTube videos.
Yes, I remember.
Millions of views, millions of views. I took them all down. I was so frustrated. And honestly, it felt good for about a day or two. I'm done. I'm going to go back to personal training. I'm going to be totally anonymous, not have to deal with anybody's hate, you know. And after a couple of days, after getting that dopamine hit of relief, I found myself in a little bit of despair. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I remember having to re-upload those videos one by one, which really annoyed my subscribers because I lost a lot of subscribers and also lost a lot of views as well. You know what I'm saying? And so, but right after that is when, you know, I launched a network marketing product, made more money than I ever thought I could make. I wrote The Dark Side of Fat Loss. I started doing these online summits, which turned into this huge thing.
Yes.
The big break was literally right after I quit. So I'm really glad that I turned that around.
Guys, if you've ever been on an online summit, you have Sean Croxton to thank for that, because you kind of forged a path there with the Paleo Summit. It was just unbelievably successful in the heyday of paleo. And then you were like, all right, I got the infrastructure in place. Who else wants to do a summit? Oh, you want to do one on gut health? Okay, we'll do the gut health summit. And you like had this marketing team, man, like you really refined it. And I remember 2 years prior to that, you called me on the phone. I remember I was standing in my backyard. Man, I'm trying to figure out how to make money from this and be successful and make a difference and da-da-da. And you and I kind of posseed, and then you kind of took that idea and ran with it. It's why I connect to you so much, because you and I, we think similar in always trying to figure out ways to do things that others wish they could do.
Yeah, you know, just like we were talking about earlier, being an innovator. You know, when I first started doing online summits, they were audio summits. You know, they were like, like go to like teleseminar or something like that. I forget what they were called, but you would just listen to them. And you know, when I started the Paleo Summit, I was the first person. Nobody does this right now, but it was an innovation. We made slides. So we brought visuals to the audio, so it was like you were looking at a presentation. So we would do the interview first, then based on the interview, we would create slides around it. Then from there, we actually started traveling around the country and doing on-camera interviews. I'm not sure if anybody does this anymore, like live, like recording in people's houses type of interviews, but I was the first person to do that. And you know, my marketing team that I developed for those summits, I mean, I kind of regret not taking a piece of their business when they started it, because it's kind of my ideas that they're using, but it's okay. I love those people. But now my team essentially runs the vast majority of the online summits going on in the health space, Bobby and Carrie and Ian and those folks. And so it's just really cool to be able to see that, you know, these ideas that I have, whether it be that or whether it be JERF or whatever it is, like how they can take hold and really influence people's lives.
You know what, though? All of those things become your legacy. I remember being in one of your summits and watching back my presentation. I'm like, oh, wow, that looks cool. I'm cool in that. Good job. Thank you, Sean. So you created this goodwill with all of these people that you made look good, that then they don't forget. Like I literally felt a connection to you because of what you did, the sacrifices you made, the innovation that you made. So that's another lesson in health entrepreneurialism, is you're influencing people's lives with every move you make, everything you do, and it lasts with them, and it could pay off down the road where they scratch your back once they maybe get bigger than you are.
Yeah, you want to make it a win-win-win. Win for yourself, a win for the person you're interviewing or who you're working with, and a win for your audience. And,
yes.
You know, that's why I was so dedicated to getting so well prepared for the interviews that I did, because I wanted to wow that person. I wanted that hour that they spent with me to be memorable. You know, I mean, years later, people be like, "Oh, Sean Croxton, you interviewed me back in the day." Like, I'm still a pretty bad networker in person. You know, I hate to label myself, but I guess I'm sort of introverted. But doing that podcast and doing those summits was my networking. Like, I made real friends from that, because they were so impressed with the extent to which I went to not only make them look good, but also to ask them questions that nobody ever asked before.
Yes.
You know, I really don't listen to podcasts much, and one of the reasons why I don't listen, because it's just the vanilla questions. It's like, you know, it's just this boring content. And
Yes.
so I really went out of my way to make it very good content for everybody.
You know what I do now when I'm asked to be on someone else's show? They're like, "Can I send you questions?" No, I ask me anything, but I dare you. I dare you. Ask me something you think I've never been asked. And it's very rare. You were one of those people that were able to come up with something I've never been asked before. We'll leave that for now, but like it's very rare